We have had 2 full days of insightful learnings and acknowledged resource persons, professionals in their fields, reawakening us to the reality of counseling and introducing us to the innovations in the field. Helping one person might not change the whole world, but it surely can change the world for that one person. And counseling is all about that. Making the world a better place for each human who inhabits it. Helping an individual discover happiness from within. Addressing the important issue of emotional well-being, age notwithstanding. And remembering that it doesn't matter how slow you go, as long as you do not stop. As we come to an end of this 2-day national seminar on integrative therapy, innovations and best practices in counseling, we have with us this evening Professor Dr. Bhushan Bave, Principal of Vidya Prabodhini College of Commerce, Education, Computer and Management, situated at Porvorim, Goa. Please help me in welcoming Dr. Bhushan Bave to the valedictory function of this 2-day national seminar. Thank you. For the benefit of our chief guest at the valedictory function and to help us remember and recount what we have done over the last 2 days, may I now request you to fix your eyes on the screen as we recap the moments we've spent together in the last 48 hours.
We are honored to have with us as chief guest for this valedictory function, Professor Bhushan Bhave, an illustrious personality who has contributed immensely to the fields of education and literature. It's my pleasure to introduce him to the gathering. Professor Bhave has the following academic degrees to his credit: Master of Arts in Marathi and Konkani, PhD in Social Linguistics and Comparative Studies. He's been teaching Konkani since 1991, which amounts to 32 years. He has authored several books in Konkani and Marathi, notable among which are Teen Sod Nibandh, Sahitya Navneet, Karbari Konkani, Matoli, Goyatle Paramparik Khel, Konkani Bhasha, Prakriti Ani Parampara, and Sahitya Vimarsha. He has edited books named Konkani, Ghumad Gaz, Vivek, and contribution of Konkanis to Hortus Indicus Malabricus. I don't know whether I pronounced that properly.
Nobody can do.
Yeah. Dr. Bhave has translated books such as Kamla, the original Marathi play by Vijay Tendulkar, Marga Darshi Vyakti Mahatva, translation of the book Guiding Souls by Dr. Abdul Kalam, then Katha Saraswati and Nadi Saraswati. He has been consistent in publishing articles on Konkani language in several journals, newspapers, and books in Konkani and Marathi. He has translated several scientific and technical scripts for Goa State Pollution Control Board, mining companies, power projects, pharmaceuticals, and consultancies. He has broadcasted and telecasted various cultural and literary programs and has anchored several programs on All India Radio Panji and Doordarshan Panji Kendra. This immense contribution has brought him various awards. Dr. T.M.A. Pai Foundation's Best Konkani Book Award in 2007 for the book Matoli on ethnobotany. H.H. Paradeshwar Math Karnataka Sahitya Puraskar Award in 2010. Chanakya Award by Weekly Chanakya, New Delhi in 2019, and Best Teacher Award by Konkani Bhasha Mandal, Margao in 2019. I have known Professor Bhave for over 30 years, and I have found him to be very sorted. I have found him living and practicing the skills which we as counselors attempt to learn and imbibe. He's a good listener, an understanding and empathetic person, and non-judgmental and accepting towards all, and above all, a very genuine person. Presently, Professor Bhave holds the following positions: Convener, Language Advisory Board, Konkani, Kendriya Sahitya Academy, New Delhi; Member, RAC, that is Registered Advisory Committee, is that correct? Regional Advisory Committee, Indian Council for Cultural Relations, New Delhi; Member of Grant in Aid, Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore, and Coordinator of College Development Council, Goa, and Principal of Vidya Prabodhini College of Commerce, Education, Computer and Management, Vidyanagari, Parvari, Goa. I present to you our chief guest, Professor Dr. Bhushan Bhave.
An illustrious personality for sure. Thank you, Professor Dr. Mahesh Pai, for that endearing introduction of Professor Dr. Bhushan Bhave. May I now request our chief guest, Dr. Bhushan Bhave, to kindly address the attendees.
At the outset, I thank the College of Home Science for inviting me as a guest for this function. My friend since 1991, maybe, Professor Mahesh Pai, who later became the principal of Home Science College. And many of you who were working with us that time also, now they are there in the different fields of, in the state of Goa. In fact, I'm not a psychologist, nor I am a counselor. I don't know what is my role here as a chief guest of the valedictory function, especially after reading the topics which were delivered here for last 2 days. Because none of them I am, I can say something on that. No authority of mine to speak anything on any of the topics there. But then still Mahesh has called me as a guest, maybe as a coordinator for, I'm the coordinator for College Development Council of University. And then he thinks that as a CDC there, I should take up some counseling activities at the university level. Maybe that is his intention. So he must have called me. And especially I appreciated, I in fact enjoyed the last session by Dr. Amit from there. 20-25 minutes I could attend his session here. And I found that really it is really a national seminar. I go many places, where the nomenclature is there, national, international, but it is only on paper. In reality, it is neither regional also. I mean, it is the reality at many places. I happened to participate in one of the seminars which was called National. It was on a Goan writer. Forget, we can have a national seminar on a Goan writer if his or her writings are translated in other languages, or that person has traveled across the country, something like that. But unfortunately, that lady on whose the seminar was organized, she had not traveled even out of the city, Margao. But that seminar was nomenclatured as national seminar. So people do such things just to score for NEC or some other accreditation bodies. But this happens to be a real national seminar, and I congratulate the principal as well as the coordinator of this seminar for getting the representation from throughout the country and so many institutes from Goa. Really a great applause is required for all these people for their efforts. The first topic of the seminar when I was just reading it while traveling from Shiroda, where I came from now, the Indian and the Western approach of counseling. I am not aware about the Western theories, which were some of them were, but I do know about the Indian theories in counseling. And I think all of us should be, because our doors are open to all the theories, whether they are Indian or Western or modern or ancient or traditional, whatever they are. So our study has to also, start in terms of the Indian theories of counseling. In the 16th and 17th century, there was a saint called Saint Ramdas. I think most of you must have heard about him. And he wrote Manache Shlok, the verses of mind, the real translation of that. Entirely the psychology which is expressed in the today's context is all well said by Manache Shlok. In Gita, the mind is, compared with monkey. Monkey jumps from one tree to another tree. That way, the mind also jumps from one thought to another thought. So that has been compared with monkey. So there are many such thoughts about mind, on mind, written in our ancient texts. I think we should also analyze those texts for some solutions of the present day. I remember our ex-governor, who is no more now, Madam Pratibha from governor's house. She called once a meeting of all the builders in Goa, and one of my estate friend happened to attend that meeting. And she asked them, "What do you build in Goa?" They say, "We build, flats." So how many bedded flats? 2 bedded. And then what you? We do at apartments, we do bungalows and all, everything. So she asked if somebody is doing 3 bedded flat, and no builder could raise the hand. Then she said 2 bed is one is for the husband and the wife, the other bed is for the children. So where there is space for the older people in the house, a grandmother or a grandfather, if at all he is living. So she declared a policy. Whoever builder builds the third room in the apartment will be given an incentive by government of Goa. She declared it. Officially it is declared. It is on paper now. So such policies are to be appreciated. That there should be some space for the older people also, everywhere in our life, in our house, everywhere. And that was the policy which was done by the government of Goa during that time. This geriatrics which I understood here, which is known as Jara Samapudishan. This word Greek geriatrics has a very resemblance with the Sanskrit word Jara. Jara is old agedness. So such comparisons are supposed to be quite They are to be there in the studies now. This is what I found. I'm happy that all the latest therapies are dealt with from the sessions which were there since yesterday. In fact, the national education policy, which has been declared since 2020 and it is already being implemented in the state, emphasizes on 3 types of education, which everybody has to now undergo. One is interdisciplinary, one is multidisciplinary, and the third one is transdisciplinary. And all these 3 types of educations or approaches are there for counseling also. Like I am language and literature. I happen to read many stories, many novels, which can be a best study material for a counselor. A story by Damodar Mauzo, the Gyanpit Awardee of Tosao Biena. The story on an aged person who in fact is having fear of everything. He heard that the was got a heart attack afterwards, after the lunch when he was just washing his hands. So this fellow never washes his hands also after lunch. Because that fellow got the attack after washing the hands, no? So I should not get. So like that, Tosao Biena, for everything he says Tosao Biena, but he has a fear in his mind. So there is lot of literature in Goa and otherwise also in many other stories written on which are the maybe the best examples for a counselor. One student of mine, I cannot believe, when it was the story of 90s, she wrote a story on a father raping her child, girl. And while the class was going on, when her turn came, she read out that story. And it was very difficult to digest, not only for me, for the students also in the class. What mentality that 19-year student had got to write a story like that? I asked her whether it was, I found whether it was her personal experience, but she had no father. Then quiet. And then after many years, there was in one of the local papers, there was a press note, a press publicity was there, that in the Madgaon Sessions Court, one father was given some sentence. He was punished by the court. And he was the same father from the story of that particular, from that village. So such things happen in Goa also, but we are not aware many times. Our veteran, renowned writer Hema Naik wrote a novelette on such issues. So if there is a reflection of such things in the society through literature, that must be happening in the society, no? At least 10% of such things. But we are not aware many times. So I think such interdisciplinary approach has to be there. We cannot just concentrate on counseling as such. It should be counseling and literature, an interdisciplinary approach. We should also have, there should be some comparative study also about this issue. So I think Home Science College can take up such projects wherein there will be some comparison, We find many such cases in our college, when I was in my earlier college also, wherein it is difficult to handle such cases at many times. The counselor also is helpless at many times, that you cannot handle. One daughter's father was continuously beating her. He was not an addict to alcohol or something. He was a normal person. But he thought that his daughter, marpachi's vastati. This was his mentality. Every day he was beating her for small reasons. And she used to cry with us. What can we do? And we went to his house also. And we scolded him. We, tried to convince him about it. But he was not. She was in the university. She was doing post-graduation. But still that story continued. I don't know what has happened in the post-COVID years, after 19. But this is the case. We have some mechanism to handle such cases in the colleges, in the educational institutions, and in the society at large. This is what I. You must have also dealt with some technologies there at know, psychology or counseling is such a subject where human touch is required. You cannot rely entirely on machines. If somebody had told me 10 years ago, this book can be translated into Marathi or Konkani over a machine, just over a click of a button, I could not have believed it. But today it has become the reality, isn't it? Click of a button, most complex scripts are being translated from one language of the world to the other language of the world. So this is happening. Similarly is the case with counseling also. We can take the help of machines and artificial intelligence, which is there in the all walks of life now. Everywhere there is artificial intelligence. So yesterday I was at Ratnagiri, day before yesterday, and I was speaking to a person. All of you must be knowing Chitale. Chitale is a famous sweet house producer. He is there in Goa also now. What they have done now as a milk producer in the country, they have tied up with one US company, and now they will be, producing such number of calves where they will be female in number, basically for milk production of the country, just to monitor that and to lower the burden of the family because now ox is not used in the farming, isn't it? Now we have tractors and all other things, machinery is there. So the role of ox is not there now. So to reduce the number of male cows and to increase the number of the female cows, that is what is called genetic inductions now, iteration. So such technology they have brought down to India. So if such artificial intelligence is, now you will be able to know that what type of diseases this particular breed will have in the future after 15 years or 10 years. Everything is possible now with the help of genetic interventions. So I think we should also try to use this machine or computer assisted tools, what are known as CAT tools, for diagnosing the society. Especially when I wanted surveys in my college, like generation learners of my college, students from other states from my college, students with single parent in my college. I use technology for those things. Likewise, for psychological needs also and for counseling needs also, we should develop some softwares which will be easier for us, faster for us. We will not at this time, concentrate on accuracy of those this thing. What we need is the result. With the help of these results, we can formulate some policies, some state policies, some educational policies. We can have some state-wise policy with the help of these statistics available in our hand. So I think interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary approach is going to help us in this field. And I think such issues were also dealt with in these 2 days sessions. So I think with the expertise that you had since yesterday of all the people who were really the resource persons, and with the interactions and with the workshops also, I like the way the report was presented. Instead of one person reading out the boring report from here, nobody is going to listen. The valedictory guest is now waiting for his, to stop that report, and then he will. This was a very beautiful, creative thing. And this is the use of, computer and the internet. And otherwise, what they are for? I think we should appreciate the Home Science College for these innovative ideas. What are the best practices then? These are the best practices. We should follow them. They should be taken from one college to other. So I congratulate Home Science College for their beautiful initiative to organize this national seminar. I hope all of you will be are the beneficiaries of this, and you will take this to the respective colleges or respective institutions. And most of these resource persons are worth inviting to the individual colleges for a workshop, day-long workshop or half-day workshop at least. So I think all of you will do that. With these few words, although I'm not a authority to speak on any of the psychological or counseling topics, it was just out of love of Mahesh and all of you. I try to put up my things before you. I thank for this opportunity. Devarekon.
Thank you very much for your very encouraging words, Professor Dr. Bhushan Babi. Well, a seminar like this requires a lot of groundwork. And before we give out the certificates and announce the award winner for the best research paper presentation, Can I please call upon the convener of the two-day national seminar, Assistant Professor Ms. Larissa Rodriguez, to kindly deliver the vote of thanks.
Like Cheryl said, something like this cannot be done with 2 hands, 4 hands, or even 10 hands. Yes, and we all have our badges here, which says, alone we can do so little, together we can do so much. So you'll see all the staff wearing these badges, and that's what we believe. This is also in our hall, in our college. If any of you have visited us, this is right on the wall which faces the entrance. And this is what we truly believe. So I indeed have to say a big thank you to everyone who has helped us to come to this stage. At the outset, I have to thank the Director of the Directorate of Higher Education, Shri Prasad Lolekar, IAS, who consented to give us the funds for this seminar to be held. As you know, we have invited a lot of people from out of state, and that is not very easy to bear in terms of expenses. So we thank the Directorate of Higher Education very deeply for their commitment in this. We also thank Director of the Directorate of Art and Culture, Shri Sagun Velip, who was with us during Ma'am Babra's session, and the management and staff of the Goa State Central Library who helped us in all putting up this entire auditorium and all the technicalities that you see here today. My thanks goes out to Dr. Mahesh Pai. He is one of the most encouraging people I have encountered in my life, and I'm very thankful to him. Not only our efforts, the efforts of each and every staff member is encouraged in our college, and that is because we have such a dynamic and talented principal in himself. Thank you, Dr. Mahesh. All of us love Dr. Mahesh. Our students call him the HEP principal. So, yes, thank you so much for everything, and he has done a lot to bring this to fruition. And then, of course, we've had people working behind the scenes, all the staff of our college, and I will introduce you to the faces that you have seen all these days. At the outset, we had people managing guest relations and the hospitality for the guests who were out of town. And we had Ms. Ranju Konkalekar, Associate Professor, and Assistant Professor Ms. Suman Gosavi, who you saw, who had made all the arrangements for travel and accommodation of our guests. We had Ma'am Mitzi, Assistant Professor Ms. Mitzi Mukherjee, who you see right there, who's responsible for all the pretty flowers, the plants, the lovely flowers that were made by the textile students, the decoration, the packing of the gifts, and the entire stage decor and management. Thank you, Ma'am Mitzi. We have the registration committee consisting of assistant professors, Ms. Mitali Bhate, Dr. Harshita Bisht, and our counselor, Luella Dias. They've had one of the most tiring jobs in terms of writing certificates and collating registrations, money, this, that. You know, you've seen them at the counters all these days. Thank you very, very much for your tireless work. For technical assistance, we had Mr. Amit, our director, College Director of Physical Education, Mr. Amit Pednekar, and Gopi Naik, who has been with us around the place, running around doing all the other things, and the team of students who was with them also, all the boys of our college, the 3 boys, the 4 boys of our college actually, yes, who you've seen around the place. Thank you to Ma'am Rita, Associate Professor Ma'am Rita Godino, and Assistant Professor Ms. Gauravi Shirodkar, who were in charge of the catering and the hospitality of the guests at the venue here. You've seen them around telling people, please have your food and finish on time, please have your tea and get back to the room. Yes, so thank you very much for them. We have had our ever so vivacious compere, who was also in charge of press and publicity, and who has put up the valedictory video that you saw here with the help of the students and the people who were in charge of photography. Mr. Gopi Naik was in charge of photography as well, so he has coordinated the team of students that were doing the photography here. We had no outside official photographer for this event. The press from the Herald has kindly offered to record our videos and broadcast it on their channel later on, but otherwise we had no official videographer or photographer. So thank you very, very much to both these people who have worked tirelessly for this. Thank you to Assistant Professor Dr. Nadisha Coelho, who was in charge of helping us to plan this program, and the paper presentations and the feedback. So all that you saw with the coordination with the chairpersons and the paper presenters was done by her. Thank you, Dr. Nadisha. We had our office staff, the accounts and the admin, and a lot of other faces also who helped us, but primarily Andrea Dias, who was in charge of the accounts, Pratiksha Kunkalikar, who saw to all the other arrangements and the bookings, and Raja Parsekar, who has been running around doing various kinds of errands for us. Thank you very much to our support staff. And we also have many others, our driver Namdev Parab, our office workers Rajesh Naik, and our support staff Pushpa Kunkolkar, Tanuja, Harshada, Varsha, and Shakuntala. I don't know where's the name. Okay. Thank you very much to our support staff of our college who have been encouraging us and helping us in ways big and small. We also thank the press who is here with us today. Thank you, and please do pass on my thanks to Joseph. And the two papers that carried our advertisements of our event, the Navin Times and the Herald. We thank Tanekar Caterers for the lovely food that we've been having all these days, Zante Cashew Nuts, for some of the gifts that we've given to the resource people, and Shubhalakshmi Graphics for all the pretty posters that you saw with relation to this conference. Thank you so very much. And of course, we have to thank our students who are our pride and who are always there for us in whatever we ask them, whatever help we ask from them. Thank you very much to our students. Lastly, I want to talk about the power of you, because from varied towns and cities and states, with your presence, you have graced our efforts to network with learners far and near, to learn and grow and share a year. We are thankful to all of you. We hope you have gained a lot, for the little time you shared with us was precious time spent for others. It is in the caring professions that we can reach, to touch hearts, to touch lives, reaffirm beliefs, and make a difference to at least some who pass our paths, even if just one. So thank you to all of you who have made this possible today for us. Thank you, and God bless you, and have a good evening.
Thank you, Larissa, for giving us this opportunity to be a part of the two-day national seminar and bringing all our expertise to the fore by giving us duties that we really enjoyed doing and working with you. The last, but not the least, formality at this two-day national conference. Of course, your certificates of participation, and each of you can collect it from the registration desk outside. Dr. Harshita, Miss Luella will be in charge, and Mithali will also help them and help you all to get your certificates of participation. We also, oh yes, and included along with the certificates will be a group photograph of your presence at the seminar, so don't forget to collect that as you leave. And the last formality for the day is announcing the awards for the best research paper presentations. We had Dr. Anuradha Bakshi and the principal, the head of department, the head of department of Dempi College with us, who were the chairpersons for the research paper presentations yesterday and today respectively. And we have two people who are deserving of this award. Let me first start with the second person. Miss Nithila Gowis. Miss Nithila Gowis for her paper on intervention with sexually abused children. She she conducted this research along with Dr. Bharti Chavan. Can I? Yes, thank you, sir. Can we also have the two chairpersons on stage, please?
You want the banner also?
Yeah, preferably actually, if possible. No? Then you'll have to sign.
I can go on slide.
Yes, please. Thank you. Dr. Bakshi, please. Please. No, please. Yes, both. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Bakshi, Dr. Mukta, please. Yes, sure.
Thank you very much. I congratulate Goa College of Home Science and Education, Higher Education Department also. And it was a great opportunity that you gave to us. Our 3 students made the present, 4 students, they presented. And it was really nice experience. And also another thing is that one of the point which was discussed, and this is just, I would like to share our program, discussed during the previous lecture that there are few counselors, not counselors, as clinical psychologists. So one of the resource person was saying that almost it takes 6 months to get the appointment in IPHB. The problem is that we do not have a trained clinical psychologist in Goa. So as per mental health care, it is required that they should be MPhil in clinical psychology. So I would request that, and we don't have any clinical psychologist in Goa. So I would like to request that whoever are eligible, they should go and do the clinical psychology program. Actually, in our institute, we are getting grants for conducting the MPhil in clinical psychology program, but there are no no faculties over here. So that is the problem. So I would like to request that if you do the MPhil in, like one of the madam was saying, if you do the MPhil in clinical psychology, then you are eligible to join as a professor over here. So that was the thing. And another thing is that I'm very proud to say that I'm the student of this college. I'm from the 3rd batch. So after finishing my BSc Home Science, I did my MSW in medical and psychiatric social work. Then I did my MPhil in psychiatric social work and then PhD. And now I have joined IPHB as an associate professor. Thank you so much.
Ma'am, if you can just stay on stage. The photographer said it would be better we just switch that off. And you'll all shift in the center. Yes. Thank you. Come. Yes. Yes.
Congratulations again.
Thank you. And the recipient of the Best Research Paper Award goes to Klizma Anushka Da Costa. Who conducted a research on emotional intelligence and values, a comparative study among children in Goa with and without engagement in expressive arts. Yes, thank you, Professor Dr. Bhushan Bave, Dr. Bakshi, Dr. Mahesh Pai, and Dr. Mukta Karmadi. Now they would be wanting to know who's the 3rd prize winner. Okay. Thank you. May I now request Principal Professor Dr. Mahesh Pai and Convener Assistant Professor Larissa Rodrigues to kindly present a token of our appreciation and a keepsake to Professor Dr. Bhushan Bave. And thank you, sir, for taking the time out and traveling such a distance to be with us today. Thank you, everybody, for your presence over the last 2 days. Have an enjoyable rest of the evening. There's tea served outside, so don't forget to refresh yourselves before you leave. And for everybody leaving Goa, have a very safe journey back home.